Let's just start and see where it goes. Title of your sex tape.
It's a roaring, what is it? Compliment? Endorsement? Wow. I don't know.
Can you tell it's Sunday night and we're sleepy?
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. Tell me why I was also gonna make that joke.
We made it to the end of season 1.
We did.
Wow.
An extra long season. It's longer than we
XL.
planned because we started at a weird time in the year.
We did. Was it like September or October? It was one of those two.
Something like that. It was a weird time. So you just get an extra long season for season 1.
You do.
You're so welcome. We did it for you.
Just for you.
All our diehard fans.
We get fan mail every day.
Oh yeah, all the time.
I have to get a bodyguard. It's actually getting kind of intense. Just how do I cope with the fame?
Oh my god. We made it to the end of season 1. We have fun things planned for season 2. We have a couple of fun things planned for the interim if you are subscribed to the newsletter. Well, strictly speaking, you don't have to subscribe, but like you won't get the email notifications if you're not. So
and for part of it, it makes no sense not to be subscribed because how would you know about some things? Just saying.
So true.
So cryptic.
Yeah, a little cryptic. That's okay though. We're excited about it.
There's some cryptids being cryptic. It's fine.
If you were a cryptid, what would you be?
I don't
actually
know
better question.
I don't even...
Are there any cryptids you would fuck? Because like I think I would fuck the Mothman. Not because I'm actually into the Mothman, but just because, like, what a great thing to be able to say, you know? Like, I would win 2 truths and a lie, and never have I ever, every time, if I could say that, like, I, at the very least, got to third base with Mothman, you know?
And to think my standard 2 truths and a lie is that I love spaghetti. And yours is that you may or may not gotten to third base with the Mothman.
I said if I slept with the Mothman, I would never lose 2 truths. So I haven't.
That would just naturally be. That's quite funny. I don't. If I'm being 100% completely honest, and I never lie, like a vampire, because I'm Lothair, physically can't lie. I have no clue what a cryptid is. I know it's a word. I said it. I can't represent it. I don't know what it means.
It's how do you define cryptid?
I don't. Merriam-Webster.
They're like those the animals that like they haven't been proven to exist, but they could exist, like Bigfoot.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take Bigfoot.
List of cryptids: Bigfoot, Yeti, the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, the Loch Ness Monster,
Nessie. You named my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster.
You are truly the worst. I don't even know what some of these things are. Some of them are like clearly from other cultures that I've never heard of. Loveland Frog, also known as the Loveland Frogman and the Loveland Lizard, from Loveland, Ohio, and it is a humanoid frog. Please look at the picture on the chart on Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. I feel like I've seen a Scooby-Doo episode with that.
We're going to link the Wikipedia article, and if you scroll down to list, you can scroll through a giant list. Ooh, this one's a giant octopus.
With tentacles.
A megalodon, sure. Classic.
Mm-hmm. I think my choice would be between the Yeti and Bigfoot. I feel like those would be fun party stories. Yeti would be, like, snowy. Bigfoot, I feel like he's a little bit, like, rougher than the Yeti. I don't know. Maybe it's, like, a 2-for-1 deal.
This one, I think it's pronounced Fook Monster. I'm not positive on that, but I do think it would be funnier if it were the Fuck Monster.
Okay, if it's pronounced fuck, then I'll take the fuck monster.
Lemish? Lemisk? I don't know, but it says it's a mix of a jaguar and an otter.
Huh. You got a little sweet and spicy in there.
Yeah, sure. Lizard man of scape or swamp. Sure, why not? the Michigan Dog Man, the Mongolian Death Worm, like that episode in SpongeBob.
He's got a big tongue.
We'll take Bikini Bottom and move it over there. Ooh, there's a whole section of flying ones. That's where the Mothman is.
Intriguing.
Oh, the Jersey Devil is a winged bipedal horse. Look at this.
I thought you were going to say whore. Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a visual.
Yes, it is. This is super not relevant to our episode.
No, not even in the slightest, but like, go off.
It is on brand, though.
It is on brand.
I
learned something new.
I'm documenting dinosaur erotica that one time.
We did, and even with all the stuff I had to cut, there was still a lot left. Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the season 1 finale of Romance Your TBR.
Uncut.
What cryptid would you fuck? Which cryptid uncut would you fuck? Because they might be circumcised. We don't know.
I know. We can't
until I sleep with the Mothman, we'll never know.
And I think, I'll just have to. I'll have to choose both the Yeti and Bigfoot because why choose?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun little why choose romance.
Right? They're like, one's grumpy, one's sunshine, one's
midnight rain. They probably must be uncut because a doctor would have had to remove the foreskin. And like, if a doctor had seen Bigfoot come into the world, I think he would have let us know. Or she. We don't discriminate against female doctors.
Unless they've been taken out.
Oh, true.
The conspiracy.
The Sasquatch ripped his way out of the womb and then immediately killed... Well, actually, he had to be circumcised first, then killed the doctor. Believe it or not, this is us fully sober.
And I'll have a great night with my Yeti ex Bigfoot romance. So
you do that. I am 100% sure that there's a Mothman romance already in existence. I just haven't read it.
If there's a balloon animal and a paperclip one.
No, I mean, I feel like I've seen
Yeah.
reviews for the Mothman romance floating around. I just can't remember who wrote it.
Not a clue. Well, can't wait for that to happen for our TBR Tuesdays. Be a great time.
Just like my time with the Mothman. So today, we are finishing out season 1 by doing sort of a little mini recap, if you will. We had some of y'all submit superlatives, and we've pulled a couple of our own as well. I think it was a total of I have 9.
Yeah.
I want to say something around those. We just wanted to make sure we hit the major points. So we're going to go through and tell you the books that we would nominate for the superlatives.
Yes.
Our main ones will be historical romance that we read in the last season.
Yes.
Whether that was for a dedicated episode or if we talked about it on TBR Tuesday. And then we've got some runners up, and that can be non-historical if we so choose.
Yeah, because there were some where I was like, I have to, there are some of these things that I need to talk about.
Right.
But they weren't historical.
Of course.
What can you do?
What can you do?
I don't know.
Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Well, the first one on my list is Instant Serotonin Boost. Okay. And in that vein, I went with novellas just because they were instant. And this one was just so good. It was Get Thee Off My Lawn by Daria Vernon. And we did a full episode on it. We all know what it's about. I just think Gerald the Swan, instant serotonin boost. He was he was so good. And it was just so cute and a little bit steamy. I would read that to make my day better. Yes.
We did a full episode on it. I went with Kit McBride. What's the full title? Kit McBride Gets a Wife. There we go. I always call it Kit McBride, so I can never remember the rest of it. Instant serotonin. It's just so cute.
It was, dare I say, too cute. I haven't recovered yet.
That's honestly fair. And then I had 3 runners up. They were all historicals. And they were the Secret Service of Tea and Treason, which almost made it to number 1. It was really close, but I figure we'll probably end up doing an episode on it in the next season since it comes out in April. So we didn't like really talk about it all that much. But dear God, that book is adorable. Some Dukes Have All the Luck by Christina Britton. The Found Family, I Weep. And The Duke Who Didn't by Courtney Milan. Because it was just so cute. And so pleasing to my brain.
I agree with all of those. And then in my like novella phase, I had A Day Until Forever by Erin Langston. It was like a really cute like fall festival historical one. When Good Girls Go Bad by Megan Frampton. It was a virgin hero. She had like a agency for like house workers and stuff, and he was an earl who needed like a maid or something, and she was in his bed when he got home. That's and then Margot Halifax and Matilda Halifax, so both by Alexandra Vasti. They're just so good. For contemporary, I had A Walk in the Park by Rebekah Weatherspoon. That's the one where they like co-adopt the dog. And then the Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Liese. I loved that one so much. Just One More by Jodie Slaughter was like the Valentine's Day one. So cute. And then, because I'm in my Immortals After Dark phase, The Warlord Wants Forever is the like
The Warlord Wants Forever is your serotonin boost.
He has control of her like belt thing and can like command her to do things. So yes. Yes, it is, indeed.
You know what? That's fair. The part where he orders her to come multiple times does live in my brain rent-free. So that's valid.
It does.
It took up residence there permanently. Let's see. The next one on my list is Most Reformed Rake. This one, honestly, I didn't have that many. But I will say it was an easy one to hand off to Sebastian St. Vincent for Devil in Winter.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like,
I can see that a lot.
What is that line about, like, he reformed just enough? So, like, he's still a rake for Evie. He still puts that prowess to use. But only for Evie. There's no other women. So, Devil in Winter for me.
Amazing. I went with one that I literally just talked about in TBR Tuesday, The Ruin of a Rake. Because that one technically is the only one that had rake in the title of all my choices. But also, I mean, Courtney was like the biggest rake. Like, things were going terribly in his life because of it. And again, like, did he like really reform? I mean, he was still like rakish, but it was just a really fun transformation of his character. And again, like, he didn't really change like fundamentally as a person, but it was just really fun to see him interact with the person who was supposed to be reforming his reputation, Julian. So that one took the cake for me. By Cat Sebastian. That was
and then I only had a couple of runners up, and once again they were both historical, because like, I mean, you can have a rake in other genres, but it's different vibes. The first one was Tristan Valentine, A Rogue in One's Own by E.B. Dunmore. I feel like he's a classic reformed rake.
He is.
Love that for me. And then I am blanking on his name, but The Guy in the Governess Game by Tessa Dare.
Oh, his name is Chase Renaud.
Oh, yes.
Renaud or something?
Renaud?
Yeah.
Renaud?
Not a
It's
clue.
something.
Not a clue.
Chase.
Also
a rake. The way he hits on that woman as soon as he sees her. And the way she's like, this is not going the way I wanted it to go.
And I would also add for Tessa Dare, A Week to Be Wicked, Colin. He was, I mean, he had a huge reputation of being a rake. I mean, he was still a rake. It was a little bit more blown out of proportion because he had to be with a woman every night to fall asleep. So, like, naturally. But he was, I love his reformation. It was so good. Because then at the end, he's like, I'm not good enough for her, but I'm going to try to be. It was so hot. My runners-up were Forever Your Rogue by Erin Langston. That one has been like talked about a lot. It's indie published, but he went through a really substantial process in that book, and it was a long book, but his change was so sweet, and then he became such a dad, and it was so good. The Bride Goes Rogue by Joanna Shute. He is so hot. Oh my god, that man. And he was definitely like having a big Rake phase of his life.
The lady gets lucky. He's a Rake too.
Yeah, Kit too. Mm-hmm. I was doing a toss up.
That's the only one that I have read.
Yep.
But.
Yep. And then Leo Hathaway.
Oh.
Yeah. He was my actual official like runner up.
Or is he a wastrel?
Well, both. I think
That's
he has
fair.
enough charm to be a Rake. But then he also was a wastrel for a good chunk of that first book and a half. And then The Devil and the Heiress by Harper St. George. That was book 2, and wow. That was a hot book. That was a really good book. I forgot to mention it during our road trip romance episode. 10 out of 10 though. So good. My favorite of the series. And he does perhaps trick her into marriage. So
perhaps
just your standard Rake things. Okay. I'm gonna go with Scrumptious as our next one.
That is such a good submission.
Yes.
Just Scrumptious. Interpret that as you will.
And we sure did. So we talked in our TBR Tuesday about a lot of hot chefs.
Sure did.
I didn't have a lot of hot chefs in my historical. There was one. But I think my favorite of the embodiment of Scrumptious is Along Came a Lady by Christy Caldwell. He is a hot coal miner named Rafe who bakes when he gets stressed.
That is scrumptious.
So he was real scrumptious. Tim Campbell narrates the audiobook. Scrumptious. The last time they have sex in the book, scrumptious. Like, that book is great. I love it so much. Dare I say it's scrumptious? So, yeah.
You dare.
I do dare.
You do indeed.
I do.
Well, I went also with partially food, partially just because the book is scrumptious. I went Hotel of Secrets by Diana Biller.
I had that one on my...
I wanted to eat Hannah's edible flowers.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them so badly. I don't even really like almond cakes, I don't like almonds, so that doesn't sound great to me. But every time they were like, oh, your almond cakes, everyone is eating. I was like, I would like to eat them. I would like to eat your magical fairyland flowers. Scrumptious. Eli Whitaker, scrumptious.
And he thought she was real scrumptious in that linen closet.
He sure did. Mm-hmm. He sure did. It's also like not the word scrumptious, but like sumptuous. Like the setting.
Yes.
It's all very lush. So that all feels like the same in my brain. And then I only had 2 runners up. Both were contemporary this time. Hot Chef Benjamin in Tastes Like Shukar by Nisha Sharma, which comes out in August, which I talked about in the last TBR Tuesday episode. Hot Chef, boy, does he leave random recipes and things all over the place. And my God, do I want to eat at his restaurants. And then Lunar Love by Lauren Kung Jessen.
Yes,
there was
that
lot
was a
of food in that book.
Ugh.
And I wanted to eat all of it.
That was a really scrumptious one. On my end, I had In Bed with the Devil by Lorraine Heath. Because he makes her an omelet not once, but twice. And you don't see a lot of men cooking in historical romance. So I had to note it when I saw it. And that was like my favorite of that series. The Counterfeit Scoundrel, also by Lorraine Heath. It's her most recent one. There's a lot of chocolate involved. Thank God, honestly. Just a lot of chocolate everywhere. The Lady Gets Lucky, Alice, is our hot chef of historical romance.
True.
And there's just a lot of like licking, sweet things off of fingers.
There's a lot of licking.
There's a lot of licking. And I also had Hotel of Secrets. And then for contemporary, The 7-Year Slip, my hot chef. And then The Nanny, he's also a hot chef. There's not as much food content in that one as there should be, but the book itself is scrumptious. And then the Ruby Spencer's whiskey. It's whiskey, not whisker. That sounds horrible. Ruby Spencer's, Ruby Spencer's whiskey year. She goes to Scotland to write a cookbook, and he owns or partially owns the inn, bar complex thing. So there was a lot of good food in that one. Oh, and Summer Reading by Jen McKinley. That one doesn't come out until the summer, I think. But she makes a lot of Portuguese food. She's a chef, but then she turns into catering. And God, all that food sounded so good. Ugh. And Luck and Last Resorts also. He was a hot Irish chef on a cruise yacht. So how can I not?
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So this one, I assume was supposed to be most bonkers. However, the submission was most boinkers. And I think boinkers is funnier than bonkers.
I like boinkers.
So we're going with most boinkers.
Because it's bonkers, but also they boink. So the
true.
intersection of the boinking and the bonking.
Well, if there's one thing that I will always promote, it's intersectionality. Most boinkers, this was a little tricky. However, I absolutely did go with Midsummer Moon by Laura Kinsale.
Yes.
Because there was another one that I really thought about on my runners-up, which absolutely is bonkers, and it almost made it. But this one, the thing is, the whole plot was so wild.
Yeah.
The whole thing. There were kidnappings and amnesia and aphrodisiacs and flying machines and daring rescues from towers. And it was so wild. Also a hedgehog. That's important. It was just so boinkers. So Midsummer Moon. That's what I went with from
your stories from that one were so boinkers.
You just have to read it to understand. And the whole time you're like, wow, I can't believe that this exists. Thank you, Laura Kinsale, for this gift.
Mm-hmm. That's just historical romance. It's just so hot.
True.
Yeah, I had to go with Angelica Frankenstein makes her match.
Yep.
Because truly, not one page of that book did I see coming. None.
And it was one of my runners up. But it has the delicious quote that she was gonna boink you into the grave. Or boink you back into the grave. Whatever that line is. So it really is the most boinkers.
I blacked out after the cock shopping. That's all I needed to know for this one. But that's amazing that you had a quote to back it up. I love that.
That's my favorite quote.
I love that.
She was planning on boinking you halfway back into the grave or something like that. I'll find it.
Yeah. That book, not only was it more explicit than I thought it was going to be for the boinking,
it really was.
But the bonking was just...
The bonking?
It bonked to extreme. I just did not expect anything to happen. And I just was so emotional. It really hit me. And I just had the most marvelous time with that one. So I had to bring her back up. My runners up were, unsurprisingly, The Earl Takes All. Because you can't say boinkers without thinking of Gorilla Twins.
That was also my runner-up.
Yeah. How can you not? How can you not? So that one was up there. Duke of Sin. I mean, anything by Elizabeth Hoyt, any of those quotes that we quote are boinkers for sure. But Duke of Sin really just encapsulated the Elizabeth Hoyt journey and experience. The Wolf and the Wildflower by Stacey Reed. The man who spends 10 years in an Alaskan cave and then sense the heroine's arousal through walls.
Yeah.
And then the first time they meet, he just like grabs her neck and starts sniffing her. And then there's just so much sniffing. And since I have to assume because he was raised with wolves, there was just so much from behind. So much. That's like, he had some, yeah. And then the other one is Cressley Cole, Kiss of a Demon King, because I can't escape my life without talking about that book. That one I think is the most boinkers of the series, because sex is literally like the point of it. She needs a kid, and so she's like, you are going to be the father because we are mates, and he's like, absolutely not. And then tables are turned, and whoa, god, yeah, they boink a lot, but they also edge the boinking. So
I did find the quote. It's the first line of my review for Angelica Frankenstein, and it is in fact, she was going to bonk you halfway back to the grave.
Yep.
My only other runner-up that you haven't already mentioned is the one that I really considered making the official one, and then I went with Midsummer Moon, and that is Passion by Liese Valdez.
Yeah.
Because you can't top cervix breaching.
Mm-mm.
You can't top that for, like, wild sex scenes. It's just, like, the plot outside of that isn't as bonkers as Midsummer Moon. It's actually a fairly, like,
standard,
really quite lovely, erotic historical romance. But the sex aspect of him having a dick so big he's never been able to fit the whole thing inside
and that's his, like,
of a
one
woman
true
before.
wish.
And that is his one true wish. He and his brother have a little rhyme that if they ever get their whole cock inside of a woman, they will marry her. And he does, but only when it makes a popping sound and slides into a little extra pocket of flesh that opens up, which to me just sounds like cervix breaching.
Yeah, because
that was a boinkers one. It sure was.
That's a definition. Look in Merriam-Webster. Boinkers.
You'll see.
Passion. Liese Valdez.
Yeah.
Wow. That was just such a fun word, boinkers. I love that one.
Yes.
The next one I will choose is Mysterious, Yearningly.
Yeah. To the person who submitted that, I don't really know what that means, but I do love it.
I took it to heart. Mysterious, Yearningly. I love it so much, and I had to give it to After Midnight by Teresa.
That's my runner-up.
By Teresa Medeiros. Because let me read you this quote. Of late, the darkness had become both his lover and his enemy, the thing he craved and the thing he most longed to escape. And that to me is just mysterious, yearningly. It was just a very mysterious book. And there was yearning, because like it was forbidden.
Yearning, yeah.
He was courting her sister. Also, he was maybe a vampire. There was just a lot of mysterious gothic loveliness happening, and it was so well written. Both Caroline and I were like, what? We did not expect it to be that good.
What indeed.
What?
That was, I only had the one runner-up, and it was that one.
Nice.
I gave it to The Marquis Makes His Move by Diana Quincy.
Yes.
It was mysterious. I think, like, we knew what was going on, but they didn't. There was some, like, hidden identity, a little revenge plot, and there was some yearning, because she was married. Or, you know, so she thinks.
I love that book. And then the cover just got revealed for the next book she's writing. I don't think it's in the same series, but man, I am yearningly excited for that book. My only other one, well, I had Amanda Collins's All of Her Mysteries.
Yes.
Because they're mysterious, and there's a lot of yearning, because they're more, like, sweet and yearning. But my only other, like, main book was Seducing a Stranger by Kerrigan Byrne. I don't quite know how yearning, but, like, maybe it's, like, mysterious sexually, because she goes to, like, a brothel, but it's, like, male prostitutes. They're, like, the stags of St. James. And she's like, I want to lose my virginity and get it on, Donkey Kong. So
direct quote.
Direct quote. So she approaches a man who is mysterious. And she's like, hey, I have this thing I need you to to take care of, and that would be my hymen. And little does she know, he is a undercover agent, not a male prostitute. And
undercover
honestly,
agents get mistaken.
He was
all the time.
I know, he was like all in dark black. Okay, he was all in dark clothing. And I guess he was looking mysterious while yearning.
I guess
and
so.
she got the vibes, and he couldn't resist. He was like, what is going on? Like, she was like making this whole like speech about why she needed a prostitute, and he was just like, what are you talking to me about? And then he just went with it, and then they just fucked right there on a bench, and it was really hot. And then after she gets, I think she's like suspected of a crime, and then he's or someone she knows is, there's crimes. So then he's like,
but no body.
Thank you for that, Taylor Swift coming back around.
We couldn't let it go.
We couldn't. And so basically, there's also, I don't know if it's a spoiler. It probably is. Beep. She's pregnant. Beep. You didn't hear anything. So there's a lot of yearning because he didn't know who she was, so he couldn't find her again. And then he's like on the same case that she's like with. It was really good. Highly recommend. That was a lot for a runner-up.
The drama.
Yeah. It was drama. It was great.
Let me see. Let's do our new auto read authors that we found in the past season. I only had a couple because I feel like we read a lot of like authors that I already knew I liked, or like I haven't read everything, but I'm working on their backlist. So I feel like the only one that like I truly really discovered in the past season was Alexandra Vasti.
That's my top one. Yep. Yep. Because
I tag her in like every roundup post ever.
Yeah.
Any like meme post that I make, I'm like, gotta throw a Halifax sister in there. I'm sure her notifications are like, oh, Caroline tagged me in another picture.
I will read anything. Like, truly, because she doesn't have, there's like no backlist besides the two that we've read.
Right.
And then she's coming out with the next novella, and then like her coming out book. So like I will be reading all of them. Like, how will I not? You know, like that's like the true auto read. Yep. So that was also mine, and you can go into your runner-ups.
I just said Cressley Cole, who like I'm still working on Immortals After Dark. And she's written other books as well that I would like to read.
Yeah, she's on my list too. I don't know if I have any interest in her like Arcane or something Chronicles. But she's got some historical romance that I really want to read. But anything going forward in Immortals After Dark, I will be reading. Yeah. So like she's an auto read in that regard. I mean, I may if I like need like something to fill the void, because I'm in her Facebook group and people love the other series.
It might be worth it.
Yeah,
Daria she's not like a new author.
No,
just one that I didn't read before.
Yeah, and we experienced her for the first time on the podcast and talking about it, so that one was a true one. Daria Vernon, Get Thee Off My Lawn.
I need to read her other books.
Yeah. So she's now going to be an auto read for like the next historical stuff she comes out with. I have a free novella from her that I got, I believe, in like a newsletter or something that I want to read. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Jackie Lau, I felt like I read The Stand-Up Groomsman, and then Not Your Valentine, I believe is the title of that one. Loved them both. So now I'm just going to read anything that she publishes. I have to go back and read her. It's like Donut Fall in Love, or it's one of the donut ones. Maureen Johnson, she's like the YA like mystery one, like they're partially like historical. I really like her writing. I read all 5 of them. I couldn't really talk about them because of the strike, so I think I like briefly touched on them. And then Diana Biller, I'd say is my last one. While the third one was my favorite, I'm excited for what she comes out with next, because I read her 2 other ones before book 3. I just love her heroes so much. Oh, so good. Okay. Well, the one right above that for me is dubbed by you, Most Orgasmic Comeuppance. I love that.
The ones where the villains get the best comeuppance.
That was great.
They're orgasmic. I stand by what I said.
They are. Mine is The Perfect Crimes of Marianne Hayes. because she just fucking shoots him.
She does.
Right away. He's just dead. And I respect her so much for it. And then later in the book, she's like, thank you so much for supporting me. Let's have sex. So it was great.
So true.
She was just like, thank you for like understanding that I need to do this. And now I'm really hot for you.
So
there was a great, oh my God.
What?
That book. There was just a really great scene where he's pressed up against.
I know exactly the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was going around on Twitter today. And I was like, ooh, yeah.
I do love the like sex in that book, the aspect of like Marion being pretty traumatized, and so her not
she
liking
like penetration.
any penetration, and Rob just being so good to roll with that. My winner and both the runners up are all Beverly Jenkins.
Yes, they are.
Because the way that I respect that woman's dealing with her villains. So the winner for me, and this was hard, I ended up picking Tempest, which is the third book in the Old West trilogy, which is a great book. Anyway, it's a mail order bride, and he's this town's doctor, and he's got a daughter that she comes and she's, you know, Regan, what a gal. She is wild, and he doesn't know, he's not sure about that. She shoots him the first time they meet because they're getting attacked, and she shoots thinking he's a bad guy, but he sure is her husband. And that book is so good. It's Beverly Jenkins, so of course it is. But throughout this book, there's this one-eyed bobcat who's like causing he like injures a little boy's dog who is protecting him from the bobcat, and like he's causing problems. So we don't love the bobcat. And also the little girl, the daughter, gets kidnapped, and there are like multiple characters that are responsible because they're working together, and there's a bad guy, all these things. And the baddest of the bad guys gets eaten by the bobcat. This is like a spoiler, but I don't really care. He gets eaten by the bobcat, and then the bobcat dies. And they're like, yeah, I guess he ate like bad meat. That's so iconic, Beverly. So that's my winner, Tempest.
I couldn't write the crocodile one because I haven't read that, but that one was in my mind.
That's a runner-up. The reason, and that one's Indigo, the reason that one didn't take the top spot is because that happens like halfway through. It's like another bad guy who did something bad to someone else, and they take care of him by feeding him to the alligators. But he's not like the main villain of the third act. So it didn't take the top spot, but that wasn't iconic.
What was your other Beverly Jenkins one?
Through the Storm.
Gotcha.
That one, I think that one and Indigo, they both, the like big bad guys both get shipped off they get sold into slavery.
Yeah, in To Catch a Raven, which was on my list, the villain gets transported, I believe, to Australia. Yeah. So she's just so good with her villains. I mean, there was like one where there was like a tertiary character who was like also a villain, but like in any other book, they would be given like a redemption arc. But Beverly was just like, no, fuck you, you're dying. I was like, well, I stand by you.
That's fair.
So that was very fun.
To elaborate on the gator, wait, actually, because I don't think I did that justice in my explanation. This guy was like an ex-slave owner, because we're in the Reconstruction era. Yeah. And or like Jim Crow era, so there's a lot of issues there. He shot a freedman in front of his like wife and child, just murdered him full on, and then they left his body in the swamp so they could never recover it. So they a bunch of masked riders pull up in the middle of the night, put a bag over his head, gag him, tie him up, throw him in a wagon, take him out to the swamp, and then they put him in a boat. And they say there's a knife in the boat somewhere if you can like get it and get yourself free, but you won't have a lot of time because there are holes in the boat, so good luck. So the boat's like sinking, and just as he grabs the knife, the boat topples over, and then he gets death rolled by gators.
That's just so inspired.
It is. It's so inspired. The like drama, they didn't just throw him to the gators. They put him in a sinking boat with a knife. It's the like, you could get free. Maybe.
My other few, the first one was An Island Princess Starts a Scandal by Adriana Herrera. Again, it's an arc, so I can't really go into why. But when you read it, you'll know why I really love the wedding scene. But it's a twofold one because, like, I don't think Manuela's parents really got, like, they got off too easy, in my opinion. And I mean, the other one, like, it's not like the perfect comeuppance, but I just love what Cora did. It was very fun. And I have to give a slight nod to Seduce Me at Sunrise, because sticking your enemy in a in a wardrobe and setting him on fire when he doesn't give you the answers you need, I think that is also very inspired. Again, I don't quite know what happened to him. I don't think he, like, got true justice besides, like, pissing his pants. Because, like, in the first book, that guy just gets to go. So, like, not the best villain taken care of, but, like, I respect the grind. And then for non-historical, Sweet Vengeance by Viano Onayamo. I mentioned it in one of our TBR Tuesdays, but goddamn, it's called Sweet Vengeance for a reason, because the heroine summons a demon to help her kill her abuser. And before they kill him, because she's like, I want to kill him, but I want you to cover it up so it looks like he died naturally. Demon's like, yes, okay. But before that, they just, like, drive him slowly off the edge. Like, they, like, show up randomly, like, outside of his car door, like, just, like, flash, and then he'll, like, see her, and then she'll, like, flash away. So then he's just, like, plagued by her all around his life until she finally, like, is done fucking with him. The commitment to revenge in that book was just so good. And then there was just so much hot sex, and he was a virgin hero, and he just liked to be called good boy. So he was like a demon. It was really good. Again, a lot of content warnings, but orgasmic comeuppance really was made for that one. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Kindle Unlimited. Yeah.
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 Let's see. I think I'll save my favorite for last. So let's go with the I can't remember the full name, but the books that you needed a cold shower afterward. I'm, like, a little bit cheating with mine because technically we didn't really talk about it very much. We just mentioned that we read it, and it sounds like we might have picked the same book. And that's Rogue's Rules for Seduction.
Of course it is.
Because that is... I need a cold shower just thinking about it.
Yeah. Like,
she said, here's his 4 chapters of sex.
He bloodied his knees going down on her for the first time. It was just so good.
She said, what if she tied him up and did a little riding crap action, and then he blindfolded and tied her up? Like, what if we just did all the things?
I think about that book constantly.
It comes out, the audio when does it come out? April?
April or May. So get your pre-order in, because there's some, like, NSFW art of Dom. I'm real excited. And there's just a cute one of them too. And, like, all in all, like, the total order I had from Ripped Bodice was like $13, and that included shipping. So worth it. And that book, wow. Yeah.
Wow, indeed.
I needed, like, to jump into a cold lake after that. A shower would not be enough.
Just run.
It was, yeah, just run. The polar plunge. It was ugh.
And that one, I am positive we will end up doing an actual episode on. Because we have to.
You will have to bodily restrain me from talking about that book for a full hour and 40 minutes.
We'll have to tie my arms to an armchair.
Yeah. Don't.
Oh no, Dom.
Terrible idea.
That was me. I was rewatching Shadow and Bone, the second season, with my sister, because I'm making her watch it. She hasn't read the books, but I sure have. So it's fun watching with her because she's, like, surprised by things that I already knew from the books. But they're doing the whole there's, like, the hot prince who's offering an engagement, even though she's in love with this other guy, but it's like a political alliance type situation. And he's like, maybe we won't even make it to marriage, but like just, you know, the engagement, whatever. And when she goes to tell him that she decided she's going to go through with the engagement, it's the middle of the night. So she like pulls her robe on and goes and knocks on his door, and he opens the door, and this man is like shirtless with a robe thrown on. And I was like, no, Nikolai, put that emerald ring on my finger. Are you joking? Oh no, don't. I guess I'll agree to this like wedding of convenience for a political alliance. I guess I'll marry this hot prince / privateer. Anyway, so yes, A Rogue's Rules for Seduction by Evil A is
I had a feeling that was going to be yours too, because like
you can't top that.
We've never agreed more, I think, than on that book.
No,
so good. My other few were again, The Bride Goes Rogue. You got to have it 2 times on here because you haven't read it yet, but man, Preston can fuck, and he can fuck really well. And Kat enjoys it a lot. And it's just really hot because he turns her down at the beginning, and then she's like, fine, I saved myself for you, but whatever. So then she goes to a masquerade, which is 10 times sexier than any other kind of dance. And then he just like, they make, because they're like in contrasting like outfits. So like she's like a queen. So then he calls her. He's got like nicknames for her. And she's like, my queen. He's like, my king. Or whatever. And then so they like lock eyes. They have a passionate interlude. It just like real early on in the book, like it just starts off and you're like, thank God this is what I asked for. And then it just keeps going. Like they have the one thing, and then there's like a carriage scene, and then the groveling was also so hot. He cooks for her. That could also go in the Scrumptious one. He doesn't know how to cook a lot of food. He does know how to cook some food. He does it for her when she's in like a little cottage. So that book is great. I had to give a nod to A Wicked Game because I was a flame in a Panda Express, so I needed to get in that cold shower. Because not the hottest book ever, but since I was a flame,
it needed to do.
It did. That also goes for The Duke in Question by Emily Howard. Both of those were like from behind. Like that one actually, like her virginity was just like lost right against a tree after almost dying. So fun. My other few were Blood Moon that I read for our Halloween episode. And that one was real hot. And there was also like a really good shower scene, so I had to include it. The best scene was he was a vampire, so he can't be seen in mirrors, and she had like a mirrored ceiling, so then she was like seeing everything happen to her, but she couldn't see him, so that was great. And then The Nanny by Lana Ferguson, that one hasn't come out yet. It comes out in April. Super excited for that. And then On the Hustle by Adriana Herrera, because that one was so hot. I need to reread it.
That was one of my runners-up, On the Hustle. If there's one thing Adriana Herrera can write, it's sturdy talk.
I thought you said sturdy talk. I was like, firm.
No.
I was like, solid.
Well, it was solid. Yes, On the Hustle. I went with Speaking of Losing Your Virginity Against a Tree, again, The Magic. Not like by Liese.
I haven't read that one yet.
So it's not like an overwhelming amount of sex scenes or anything. Like it's not super sexy. It's not A Rogue's Rules for Seduction. But it's that Liese Kleypas of like you forget.
Yeah. You can forget
how
she can write
her books
good
are.
Sex scene. Yeah.
And it's a revenge seduction. So you have like the rage and the like past hurt because they were like lovers they were in love at like 16 and then she like white fanged him because her dad was gonna be awful, so she told him that she didn't love him and sent him away, and now he's back and he's rich and he's hot, and there was a fire right after he left and she almost died and her legs are super scarred and she never lets anyone see them, and he doesn't know that though. So like there's the number one, losing her virginity against a tree, and number two, the scene at the end when he's gonna leave and she comes after him and she tells him why, and like admits to the like having scarring on her legs and whatnot. And that man is so angry at her. And the sex is so hot.
Just what I like to hear. I'm excited for that. I need to
again the magic. Actually feral. And then my last one was Dark Needs at Night's Edge. Ghost romance. She's a
There
ghost
also
and
a good
he's like
scene.
a half crazed. What is he, a vampire?
He's a vampire because he's a virgin.
Yeah,
because he was turned. He was turned with the hero of book 2, like they're brothers.
Yeah, so he's like lost his mind via like bloodlust.
Yeah,
and so he's like tied to a bed for a lot of this book, trying to like be sane again and detox. And she's a ghost, and he's the only one who can see her. So like they can't touch for a lot of the book. Oh, it's so horny.
And you're so right. There's a great shower scene too. Wow. Yeah. See, that's why I'm going back to reread those because I loved all of the fur. Like 1 through 6 were just all instant vibes. Like just
Dark Needs at Night's Edge too is just like a phenomenal romance. Like besides how horny it is, it's just like incredibly good.
Yeah.
Feral.
Wow. And she was like and just Robert Petkoff. I mean, I could add like basically any Cressley Cole book on there for needing a cold shower.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, I think once you get to Sabine and Rydstrom, no matter how much I say, I don't think you're going to be prepared.
Probably not.
That one
I already know. That one I really am edging.
I like no other because it's
like no other. I was about to hit the demons, and I was like, I need to take a break for a second to prepare for the Demon Brothers.
The Demon Brothers, Cade. Cade's was good. His was, I think, the one right before Rydstrom.
I just already know I have a thing for the demons. I already know. I love horns.
Yeah.
I love the vibes.
One of them, they were handles. I loved that.
Yeah, like obviously. What else do you even give a character horns for?
I don't know. They're just so sensitive, and I can't.
Was I just reading where
they like mark their scent with them? Ugh.
I just read something where he had horns, and it was like a whole. What paranormal romance have I read recently? Hang on.
Ooh, the gargoyle one. Did he have horns?
Yes, he did. Thank you. How to Marry a Marble Marquis. That one I almost included on this list. Let me throw it on there as a runner-up.
Slap it on there.
Sleep Play.
Yeah, I'm excited.
While
for
he's
that one.
Stone.
Sturdy also.
Sturdy indeed.
Yeah. Love it. Love that for us. Okay. I will throw in a gratuitous one for us just because it's on brand. I will say the final boss of the Blonde Duke's named Sebastian because I do believe we have a different one. And you don't even have to think about it. Mine is the OG bringing down the Duke, Sebastian Devereaux, Duke of Montgomery. Thank you so much, Evie Dunmore, for writing that man.
I love that man.
I know you do, but I think there's one that you love a little bit more.
Yeah, Sebastian Kingston, or whatever his real. I can never remember their actual last name.
Not a fucking clue.
Chalets?
Chalamet.
Chalons. They're the Chalons. But the Duke of Kingston, Sebastian. Who that man? That means Devlin Winter gets 2 of my superlatives.
Yeah. What was your? Because do you have 3 blonde dukes named Sebastian, or is it just
no?
The 2?
I thought I
think there's a third.
Really, in my brain was like, I feel like I just read a third one that I was excited by, but I can't remember.
I think there was because we were like, oh, now we have 3. If anyone remembers, I think we talked about it.
I thought it was just I couldn't remember what I was reading, but I had just said like, oh, I think I found another one.
Well, if anyone knows of another blonde duke named Sebastian, we will surely add it to our list. That one I needed to throw in there just for us.
I'll go through my Goodreads and see if I can find it, but
amazing.
Anyway, on to our final superlative, funniest horny scene.
This one was fun.
There's one that I almost picked, but I figured you are probably gonna pick it.
I didn't.
Oh.
Because I feel like I think I know what you're talking about. it's right up there. But I figured that we talk about it so much.
I know, but if anything, doesn't it deserve the superlative?
It does. Okay, that can be my top one. It's honestly, there's such a...
I can also swap it.
I mean, that can be our, like, final boss of the funniest, horniest scenes.
I mean, I had several.
Me too. We'll get this elephant, or dare I say bear, out of...
There's one reference we are gonna make. It's gonna be bear pit sex.
It's going to be bear pit sex. A bear in the hole is worth 2 in the cage. And that is A Daring Pursuit by Kate Bateman. Truly, I do agree. This is honestly the funniest thing to ever happen. Because like, this bear is just grunting and growling and angry in this pit. And they're just going at it.
Like, it's not funny necessarily when you read. Like, it's not played for laughs. It's, like, deeply horny. But when you take a step back and are like, wait, the bear is still trapped in a pit right next to you? Kate Bateman.
And then just the aftermath.
Salute
you so hard. And the aftermath of her handprint being on his crotch and them sneaking into the office of her brother. And then the brother, he looks and he's like, you guys weren't just doing things? And she's like, no. It's just, God. I love me some hot bear adjacent sex. You know, casual Sunday night.
Bear adjacent.
Tangentially. Is it, what's the lupine? No, that's wolf. What's the bear?
I have no idea.
Borea, the Ursine or something? I don't know.
I don't know. Why did I know that?
I don't know, you know things?
Yeah. That's the winner.
Yeah.
My runners up.
Oh, they're the family that bears are in are Ursidae. So I was close.
I hate you so much. Why are you like this? I'm just kidding. I love you. I would die for you. But like,
I love hot adjacent bear sex. Any Ursidae of the week. any Ursidae of the week that ends in day.
The rage that I feel right now.
She's taken her love back and shoved it in a pit to the left.
You know what's so sad is that the end of season 1 is actually the end of the podcast, guys.
Irreconcilable differences. One too many bear differences.
This is unbearable.
I just took a drink of water. That wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, I'm crying.
Okay.
That did it. Podcast is ending because I am infected.
Let's take a pause so you can pull yourself together.
Okay, I'm good. I'm composed.
You're gonna grin and bear it?
I can't. Suddenly all the bear puns have left.
I think that's all I've got.
My brain. Oh, this is so fitting. This is so on brand. Wow. Bears of America sponsor us.
Just bears. Not even like, what's the wildfire bear?
Smokey?
What's his name? Yeah, not even like
Steamy. We're Steamy the bear.
Smokey. No, I'm just saying, not even like, we're not asking a specific bear for a sponsorship. Just bears generally.
Of America. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Bear puns aside, my runners up for the funniest horny scene were number 1, A Spinster's Guide to Danger and Dukes, which comes out, well, if you're listening to the, no matter what, it's already come out. It came out.
Yeah.
Recently. A Spinster's Guide to Danger and Dukes, the sex scenes in a cave. There was some danger. They've uncovered some secrets, and they get trapped in a cave. And I think he's claustrophobic, and they bang it out. Which, like, again, it's not, like, played for laughs, but it makes me laugh.
Yes.
Just knowing the context of what those characters were coming back from. And then they were like, well, while we're here. The other historical is West End Earl by Bethany Bennett.
Yeah.
Because her being pissed at him, sucking him off, and then stopping before he could finish and then walking out of the room is actually just the funniest thing in the world.
Ugh, she was so real for that. I screamed when I read that.
Lost my mind, yeah. That is hysterical.
So good.
And finally, this one, it's not really a specific horny scene that was that funny. However, Hedging His Bets by, I think, Celia Kyle and somebody else. I forget the other author. First there's some voyeurism. Like, he spies on her while she's getting herself off, thinking about him.
I do love that.
But then also, there are some not so funny horny scenes and, like, weird consent things, but he's a hedgehog shifter. And she doesn't know that because he doesn't tell anyone because he's embarrassed because he's, like, a big tattooed black leather motorcycle riding bad boy who shifts into a hedgehog. And she adopts hedgehogs and he finds out. So he shifts into a hedgehog and gets his cousin, who's also a hedgehog shifter, to beat him up so that he can be, like, hanging out by her car, and he's a poor little bloody hedgehog. Oh no. And his plan is for her to take him home. And instead she takes him to the vet, and he has a bad time involving thermometers in places he doesn't want them. But throughout this whole period where he's a hedgehog and she doesn't know that he's him, she like keeps him on her chest because that's where he likes to be, and he keeps, like, burrowing into her boobs. And she's like, man, if this were a man, I would, like, say he's a boob guy, right? Like, which is a weird thing to think about a little animal. But he is just so horny, but a hedgehog.
Good.
That's amazing. All. Again, it's not really, like, a specific scene so much as the entire sequence of him being a hedgehog and also just, like, really wanting to bang this woman.
I love that. Nice. Is that the end of your list? Cool.
Yeah.
My runner-up would be A Duchess by Midnight by Charis Michaels. That is the horniest bird-watching scene I have ever encountered because it's the only one. But literally, so she's really into bird watching. She loves it. And the hero, he just went out to have a normal conversation. He didn't intend to take it any farther. But she's looking so hot, studying her birds, that he just, like, they just start going to Pound Town on this log. Like, and he's like, you have to be quiet because you'll scare away the birds. And it was so much fun. Like, was it funny? Yeah. Because he was like, the birds, think about the birds. But then he's also just, like, railing her. It was so fun. Also, that was, like, the steamiest book by Charis that I had read, it still is at the moment. I have her next one on Neck Alley, so I will update. But it was just so much fun because it was, like, the Cinderella. She was, like, technically the wicked stepsister. But she wasn't wicked. She was just misunderstood and had a terrible mother. But yeah, that one I think about frequently, almost as often as the Bear in the Pit. But since you haven't read it, we can't quite banter our way into that one as much. But 10 out of 10 recommend. And I have to give it to any time a Lorraine Heath hero sees the heroine's delicate toes. It turns into automatically the funniest, horniest scene in the book. Her delicate toes! Oh, Christ!
Oh, Christ!
Yeah. And then it just turns into a bit with every book now where he's like, her delicate toes. I'm just like, yeah, that's funny. And that's also very horny. So that was a great time. And this one, I've already mentioned it, but A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare. The second, I suppose. It's one of their pre-penetration scenes. They have a few. It's a very hot book. Didn't expect it to be as hot as it was. But the first one, is so you've got Colin and Minerva. Colin loves to tell stories. He is not very serious. And they are on this road trip. And so he's making up a story, and the one he decided to do for that day was that they were siblings. And they're staying in the same room, and they befriend a family, and they're like, "Hey, can you give us a ride?" And they're like, "Sure." So they have all of their luggage, and they're, they make a good impression. They're like, "Oh, we're princes and princesses," and it was great. And so they go to bed, and then they're like laying in the same bed, because his one stipulation was that he needs to have her in his bed every night because he has nightmares and stuff, and so he doesn't want to sleep with her, just have her in the bed. And so through the walls they hear just banging, like someone is getting railed and someone is railing someone. And Minerva's like, "What? Like, we need to go check on them. They're hurt. Like, help." And he's like, "No, they're fine. Like, whatever." He notices she's like, "Oh, that's what's happening." She's a scientist. She's curious. So then he's just like, "Should I demonstrate a little demonstration?" So above the sheets, they just like grind to completion. But the funniest part of the scene is that while they could hear the people next door could also hear what was possibly a brother and sister making sex noises, just all night. And so the next day they see this family that they were getting a ride from, and they were like, "You're incestuous." And so yeah, they like steal their luggage and drive off, and they have no money and no mode of transportation because they claimed that they were siblings and they couldn't keep off of each other. That was a fun book. Yeah.
I did just remember 2 more based on yours. Some Dukes Have All the Luck, which I already mentioned for the serotonin boost, but sexy bug watching. Just need to throw that out there. What was the other? Margot Halifax, in which Margot Halifax learns the value of restraint. In which she tries to bathe a cat, and the cat ruins her bed. Well, first it attacks her, so her life is ruined, and then ruins her bed. Salute to Angelica Kaufman, the cat, for taking care of the 2-bed situation. So then that man is so horny, and he's so upset about it because he can't have sex with her. But he does that thing that romance heroes do, where he's like, "But I can get her off. That's allowed." The scene itself, very sexy. The lead up to the scene, I was dead.
Relatable. But yeah, the other ones I had listed were just like horny. They weren't necessarily funny, so I had to take them off the list.
Well,
but yeah, we did it.
So there you have it. Our season 1 superlatives. And the honestly, because we can never just talk about one book.
I was making my list. I was like, no, I can't. Like, limiting it to one was just impossible because so many of like the Immortals After Dark, they just fit everywhere. And then I was like, but that's not historical. Well, they're kind of historical because a lot of these characters are like, thousands of years old.
That doesn't make them historical, Hannah.
I know, but they speak like they're historical, and so it's hotter. And so because that also is just so good. Like, but I was like, I need to include them, but they're not historical. So I was like, I need to have a caveat that we also include non-ones in the runners-up.
Well, so there you have it. That's a wrap on season 1.
It is.
We'll be back.
Look at us.
Honestly, in a couple of weeks, apparently. Because why would we take a longer break?
Why would we stay away?
Why would we do that?
I could totally be wrong, but I think we're coming back.
No, I think you're probably right.
I think we're coming back with a vengeance on April 18th. I think that's a Tuesday. And that's actually not gonna be that long. Oh, it'll be like 3 weeks of our TBR Tuesday reads. So like we'll see. We'll see how long that one is. And then a special guest on that first Friday. Woo. And like we mentioned in our TBR Tuesday, we have some fun and interesting things going on in our newsletter on Substack. The first of which goes out tomorrow, if you're listening to this, on the 31st of March. So
the first of what? Oh, the fun, interesting things?
Yeah.
I thought you meant the newsletter, and I was like, the first newsletter already went out.
I'm just
It was a while ago.
No, the first of our
Gotcha.
fun and interesting tidbits just for newsletter subscribers. It's like this episode, but mini. But it introduces something because it's like yeah. Yeah, I'm excited because then we're gonna have really a lot of fun, I think, with that. And then just more recommendations and stuff in the newsletter while we're off. And then yeah, it'll be April. Easter will have maybe already happened. I don't know when Easter is this year, but that's early. Nuts to think about. Wow,
indeed.
This time, I know. Season 2. Who would have thought? Look at us. Yeah. You didn't finish that.
No,
that was really unfortunate. You left me hanging.
Hey, wow. Look at us.
Who would have thought?
See, I finished it.
Thank you. Not me. The saddest joke.
Like, really sleepy.
Of our jokes. Yeah. I am going to have a lot of fun writing the show notes for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many books, again, to talk about. It's like half of our freaking... What the thing you made? The index of all of our books?
Oh, yes.
How many books can we fit into an episode?
Many.
Try us.
We can fit many.
Yeah, we did. And we did.
Oh, ow, my back.
Call life alert. She's falling.
For real.
She can't get up.
Well.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with a second season. And really, if we're being honest, the difference between season 1 and season 2 is just going to be the number. Because it's just going to be more of the same.
I just keep thinking about Romance or TBR Uncut. I have a lot of fun with that image in my head. Oh. But yeah, we will still be unhinged. We will have not reformed. And yeah, I have no plans on reformation.
No.
Amazing.
Well, see ya in April.
Have a wonderful break. If your spring break falls during our break, I don't know if it will, but
probably not.
That's
probably already happened.
Yeah,
but I didn't even have a spring break, so
that is unfortunate. I just took one.
That's fair.
I wanted to, but I didn't do anything. Currently still on it while we record this. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to us. We did this just like for fun. And so it's really fun and enjoyable to be able to talk about historical romance and other romances that we read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bedtime. So yep. That's the vibe.
Yep.
Have a wonderful day. Stay beautiful.
Ugh.
Ha. Ha ha ha.
What is happening?
Ha, ha, ha. It's another Taylor Swift reference if you watch her SNL monologue. Yeah.
Why do you know all these? I mean, I know why.
Just
have a lot of random Taylor Swift references that, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, so I have to explain them. Yeah. But watch her SNL monologue. It's great. But you're not going to, but that's fine. But hopefully you got Stay Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye-bye.